Okay, and we are back. Hello, viewers. Welcome back to the stream. Before I introduce my next guest, let me show you what we're looking at because this is a bit unusual here. My next guest is Harold Williams, and he has a unique camera solution. And what I asked him to do is to call me twice, or to have two camera views, one showing the new and one showing the old. So let me make him a little bit bigger here so you guys can see. And Harold, why don't you first please just introduce yourself? You're not quite new to this industry.
No, you're right, Dave. I've been around a while. Yeah, so of course, you just said that the old, but actually it's still the new with our competition. So what we're showing is current technology that is being sold today compared to our new technology, which creates an immersive experience with people even in a small huddle space like this. So
Now, let me shift
just
back
a
and forth
quick,
so we can see. Really quick, I'm going to make the what we're calling the current view full sized so our viewers can see. Now, this is what I'm used to looking at, the bowling alley meeting room. And of course, the most important person in the room, the boss, is so tiny that I can't see your face. And the people that are close to the camera are super distorted, and that's not what they look like in real life. And it's not yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I've accepted it. This is what else you're gonna do, right? This is the way the world is until you showed me. Let me shift over here. So your camera, it looks like you move seats. It looks like you move seats to sit next to each other. So you're not actually sitting next to each other. You guys are socially distanced right now.
that is correct, yes.
Okay, so how is this working? How are you? Your heads are all the same sized. You're all equal participants.
Well, that speaks to our patented technology called image equalization, or the brand name is Equali. So we produce two versions of our Equali cameras, and this is the experience that you can attain, which is almost like an immersive experience in a huddle space, as I mentioned. Um, just very quickly, the way we do it is we capture 120 degrees field of view, as does our competitors' cameras. Now, what you're seeing on the side-by-side from the competitor standpoint, so we have a popular competitor's camera going at the same time, capturing 120-degree field of view. Now, this could be any camera on the market today that is of the 120-degree digital camera ilk. That would include the new sound bars that have cameras in the center, and those would also be an exact representation of what you're seeing on the right side. So what we do is also capture 120 degrees, but what we do in real time in very quick image processing is that we remap and resize every one of the 4K pixels in every frame so that we bring the center person up close and personal while we recede backward in smaller scale the rest of the participants. That gives you essentially a flattened field of view, which is what you think of when you think of sitting right across the table from someone in a meeting. And the difference is obviously quite dramatic. Although this table is only 6 feet 9 inches deep from the screen, it's a D-shaped huddle room table. And it looks like we're only 6 feet from the screen in our camera. However, the competition, it looks like the table is perhaps 12 to 13 feet, depending on perception. So that's one of the key differences of our camera. But there's an additional significant feature that we like to also talk about, and that is really eye contact, or eye line, as a lot of people like to call it in the industry, because eye contact itself is not really possible in video conferencing, meaning you can't look in everybody's eyes at the same time. However, what we notice, and back historically in my work in immersive telepresence for 25 years, a vertical eye line has always been a big deal. And it's the most noticeable mismatch of eye contact that there is compared to a horizontal panning non-alignment. But the vertical side of it is very disorienting.
Yeah, the typical video conferencing view is either you're looking up my nose or you're looking down my nose, right? Either looks like I'm staring at your chin or I'm staring at your forehead. It's not, it's not a left to right problem, it's an up and down. Right?
Absolutely.
This is the typical view. Aren't I compelling now with this lack of eye contact?
Yeah, let me just demonstrate the difference. We're set up to actually show you the difference. So typically in a huddle space, if you're using a sound bar with a camera or a larger camera from other vendors, typically it's going to be mounted below the display. That seems to be the sort of winner of camera location in huddle spaces in the last couple of years. When you do mount it below, integrators should, and even Zoom recommends, that the display be mounted between 44 and 48 inches above the floor. And then the camera or the sound bar goes below. Now, if you do that, we will show you now what it looks like as it relates to your eye line. So we're going to look at a spot on a display that is set at 44 inches, and we're now looking at the center of the display.
Let me switch back and forth. So with the old view, the competitor view, it looks like you're looking above my head. It's hard to see where you're looking because you're so small, but it looks like, it looks like you're both looking above me, which is a little, I mean, I'm used to it, but it's not great. And let me switch to the Aura view.
So now we're looking at the Aura view where our display is set at 36 inches above the floor, and our huddle space, or our huddle camera, is actually mounted on a small riser that's only 20 millimeters wide, and we actually rise into the display scene 7 inches in a very unobtrusive way. So we're able to get much better eye line, and it's particularly a problem for the front person. So if you go back to enlarge the competition, you'll notice that Amanda, when I look up at that display, I'm not too bad and I'm not that uncomfortable. But when she looks up, because she is so close to the screen, it actually becomes what I think is a neck problem over, let's say, an hour of meeting. Becomes quite uncomfortable. Now, and if you're in a Zoom call where you have, let's say, gallery view, and you have windows above the center, just windows of video, now you're going to look up another 6 inches. So now I'm looking at a gallery view at the top of someone speaking, and this is really not very acceptable from an ergonomic and human factor standpoint.
Yeah, it's awkward. It's not just physically uncomfortable. It's an awkward experience for the remote party. If you meet with someone in person and you stare at their forehead, after a few minutes they're gonna say, what are you looking at? It's just not a natural experience. And for viewers, you may be thinking, well, wait a minute, did he say that the camera is going to be in front of the screen? I don't want the camera in front of the screen. I've tested this and demoed it, and the camera, it sticks up about this much, like it's about as thin as my finger and sticks up this much, so it's not blocking anything on the screen. It actually looks like it's sitting on the table. So what we've always wanted is, I want the camera in the middle of the monitor so that I can look right at the camera, but I don't want the camera blocking the people that I'm looking at. And this is really ideal. It's a little thumbstick that sticks up and just kind of blocks the little bottom part of the view where usually it's nothing but table anyway. So it's really a pretty elegant way to deal with the eye contact problem because we haven't solved it yet. It's just I'm cheating right now. I wish I could be looking at Harold, but I want to give good eye contact. I'm looking at a webcam. So I really appreciate the at least putting some thought and realizing that that eye contact is an issue, more or less solving it. I'm sure you're,
Well, what we're doing, we're applying, like I mentioned, about 25 years of experience in immersive telepresence. My background was developing the first video conferencing rooms that had multiple screens and multiple cameras. And that company was sold to Polycom in 2007, and that became the Polycom RPX room system that most folks in the industry have heard about. What we've done here is to recognize the shortcomings of current imaging technologies with these 120-degree field of view cameras, and we've essentially applied that background to solving and creating an immersive feeling even in this this small space. And of course, with COVID and social distancing, this person, and by the way, we use these so that you can get an exact comparison. So when you look at that front person from each camera, you'll appreciate that there is a significant difference in the size of the person. So that's the reason these props are here, and we use them in our lab.
Yeah, you can see if I go to the other view, you know, the globe on this side is 4 times the size of this globe or your head. And if they represent human faces, human heads, I want them to be all the same size. This view, which you created back in the 90s as the telepresence view, 3 people sitting next to each other, that's the way we like to meet when we meet in person. We sit across the table from the 3 people that we're talking to with our 3 people when it's a big business meeting. So, but the problem is, I loved your original invention that gave me this 3-person view, but those things cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So now what you've done is you've recreated your $100,000 experience for how much does this camera run for?
This camera for a single screen is $999.
$999 gives me a $100,000 telepresence experience. That sounds like a pretty good deal.
I think it is.
Yeah.
But however, I must say that what we are seeing is there's still seems that there is still a willingness to say, you know, okay, video is still good enough. So, you know, who really cares? And, you know, I just don't subscribe to that because quality of video is, to me, should be paramount. And in a user experience. Now, Zoom and others have solved the user experience as far as difficult to use and all of that, but other folks are not recognizing that image acquisition and high quality video is available and attainable even in you know, today's technology.
Yeah, I mean, you know, think of how you want to look. You know, if you were sitting, and by you I mean the viewer. If you were the viewer, we're sitting in Harold's chair and trying to sell something. You know, what's more convincing? Would you buy something from this guy or would you buy something? I can't even see who this guy is. You know, Harold likes to joke that he looks like the guy who on the oatmeal commercials. You don't even look like you don't look. I don't even recognize you know, him there. They don't, you know, you don't look like anyone. You're a small figure in the distance. Oh, here you go. Here's someone I might do business with. I can actually see who you are. And the reason I invited you here today, because the theme today is, you know, we're talking about how 2020 was a rough year, and we're trying to make our lives as normal as we can by using video to get through all this, trying to do things the right way. I'm personally very scared and taking this pandemic very seriously, and I want to social distance. And I think that even when I get back to the office, you know, when they come out with the vaccine, they come out with the cure, it's totally safe. Even when it's, you know, it might never be, but let's say they make it 100% safe, I'm still gonna want to social distance. I'm just at that point now, and I want to see everyone else social distancing. And I've known you for a long time, and I want you to be healthy, and I want to make sure that you're doing this. I want you to be doing this. I want you to be, You looks like you're about 6 feet away. This makes me happy. But I want you to look like this. So the reason that I invited you here today of everyone that I work with is because you're solving a problem that I'm particularly worried about. I'm really worried that when people get back to the office, they're just going to start huddling up again. And I'm not ready for that. I want you to look huddled. I want you to trick me. I want you to look huddled, but I want you to be safe. And that's what I'm getting here. So I know that wasn't your intention because you created this well before the pandemic. Your intention was, as you said, to give a good experience. Why are we compromising with the bowling alley when we could have telepresence? But intended or not, this makes me a lot more comfortable. So I'm hoping that whether it's this or your competitors, nothing, I mean, whether it's this solution or other solution, I hope that when people come back to the office, they're looking for ways to keep the social distancing, but still look reasonable, look good in a meeting. Um, so with that, I'm sure you're getting a lot more interest now with the pandemic of people saying, hey, I can be social distance with this thing. Are people coming to you specifically looking for social distancing solutions?
Well, I agree with you. And just one final thing for me is that I do believe when we get back to the office and have regular video conferencing, those meetings in those rooms, I believe, are going to be more and more and longer meetings. So that, where before you might start with an hour meeting, I think those meetings could go, twice or three times longer because there's just going to be more people out beyond the company. And that's where the comfort zone happens. You just can't, it's very difficult to be in a meeting with the tiny head for a long period of time when you really disconnect. When you're disconnected, you spent 3 hours, but you've been disconnected. So I think that is a point where much better video will be very valuable to companies.
I mean, the whole reason we've been saying to use video all along instead of audio is because a lot of the message is in our faces. It's not just our words, it's in our faces. And right now I can see your face, and right now it's not as easy. So this definitely, it, if you're that small, it's still better than audio, but it's not much better than audio. If I can't see you, I can't see you. Uh, so so okay, if anybody has any questions or wants to learn more, where should they go?
Just go to Aura Presence. By the way, our previous company was Array Telepresence. We had much different products in years past. These new cameras fall under the brand of Aura Presence, and that's AURA presence.com. And just contact us and we'll provide you with tons of information, and we can do these live demos directly for anyone out there that would like to experience this and learn more. We'll do these all the time for potential customers and interested parties.
Great. All right. Thanks so much. Always great to chat with you.